We're social beings. In this episode, we're going to look at 3 different types of relationships and how they come together to form a tripod of objectivity for ourselves. Welcome back. I'm Gila Ross, host of the Power Up podcast, where we share short, relatable ideas to upgrade and impact our everyday life. Basically, we're told in Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, for anyone that has joined our Perek project on the podcast, you might have heard a little bit about it, but we're going to go a lot deeper and more practical about how it applies to our lives today. So basically, there is one of the advice that's given in Ethics of the Fathers is let's backtrack for a second. What Ethics of the Fathers is it's a part of the Talmud which focuses, most of the Talmud focuses on Jewish law and how it comes out in our lives. But Ethics of the Fathers is focused on our moral life, on ethics, really, right? And it gives us advice on how to live. So it talks about the dangers of traveling alone, basically saying that if anyone travels alone, they are kind of responsible if something bad happens to them, right? What does it mean? On a simplistic level, it means it's dangerous to travel alone. So don't do it, right? Don't start traveling alone, in a dangerous place, especially if you think about back in the days when there was highway robbers and all sorts of things, right? The way I like to think of it nowadays is, there are certain roads that you wouldn't walk down late at night by yourself, etc., right? But on a deeper level, what it means is that it is dangerous, okay? And I'm going to use that word, even though it's a strong word, to travel through life on our own, right? And earlier this week on Monday, I was in London for the day. We drove down. Seed have a branch in London as well, and they were creating a couple of videos, and they asked us to come for the day to be videoed.
You did like the video shoot, didn't
you? Yes.
Funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. My kids keep asking, when is the video coming out? And I don't know. Mine. No, just Samuel, myself, and the baby, because he comes everywhere. Yeah.
On Bank Holiday?
No. This Monday. This Monday. So the kids were in school. But so basically do a monthly video, like every month they do like a short video. I don't know if anyone's seen any of them. They post them on Facebook and on Instagram and on YouTube. So every month they get a different educator to do it. So they all asked all the Manchester staff all the Manchester educators to drive down to London for the day on Monday, and they videoed us all. Anyway, where was I up to? So I went to visit, so I had a short window of time, and I went to visit a friend who I know from back when we lived in Germany. And she was talking to me about her kids. She's got a 10-year-old child, and we're talking about how, like, at that age, when they're 10, whatever, they can start to really, really feel the peer pressure, right? The pressure to sort of be like be like others. And her comment to me was, of course, that's the way God created us. We are social beings, right? We care about what other people are thinking. We need. I think one of the things that COVID and the pandemic taught us is how important social contact is, right? Think about how much we missed it over the pandemic, and how nice it is, again, just to be doing something like sitting in a garden together, right? Like how nice that is. Yes, no, it is. So basically, back to the Mishnah, it's telling us that we have to we have to have a support system, right? We have to have people that can support us in our journey in life. And not only do we have to have that, but we also should be that for other people. But what we're going to focus on in this session is really we're going to focus on what's called a tripod of objectivity, which is basically 3 different types of relationships that together kind of keep us grounded, right? So if you think about, let's say, a triangle, right? You've got the three different points, and together they kind of make a triangle. So what we're going to focus on is those three different types of relationships and how they kind of keep us grounded, and we're going to take a look at those three different types of relationships. So any ideas what those different types of relationships are? And anyone
in our
who's-
lives, so like friendship,
Family.
family. Is that what you mean?
Yes, I do mean different types. So
I've got an idea. Just
yes.
thought.
Hold on a second. Anna, give me just a second. Hi, Essie. So family and friends of different types, I would put them in a category. But Anna, let's go back to that. I know it's a bit big, but we'll come together. Anna, what were you going to say?
A thought of kind of hierarchy. Is it possibly that you need people that are kind of equal to you, people who you look up to, and people who you help?
Did you look at my notes?
No.
How did you know that? You said
That was just logical. It just came to me logically.
Brilliant. We're all suspicious that you Googled it around here.
I'm just a genius. What can I say?
Not
we
much.
also said that.
Yes, we did say afterwards that you are a genius. All right. So what does Anna say? So Anna was saying that there are relationships that are above us, right? That, for example, people that we look up to, whether they are mentors, teachers, guides, etc. Parents, yes. Forgot about that one. And then there are people that are parallel to us, right? Like I would say are horizontal to us, right? And then there are people that are below us, which is people that we can give to. So what I'm going to sort of classify them as is, I would say the first set of relationships are kind of our teachers, whether you want to call it a mentor, a teacher, a guide, something like that. And the second set of relationship is the relationship that family, friends, those are like our peers, okay? And then the third set of relationships are those that are our students, our kids could be that as well, but those that are below us and those that give to us. Okay, so and I think what's also important to get realize here is that sometimes it's a constant thing, right? Like there are some people that are clearly above us, right? Let's say, for example, if you have a role model in your life, right? A mentor, someone who's clearly above you, that's a constant thing. They're always above you. But there are some times where it's situational, right? So for example, you can have a peer, and in certain areas, a friend or, family, someone who's more or less on your level, and in certain areas, you can look up to them and ask them, right? Like if, let's say, they are a little bit above you in life experience, and you could turn to them and ask them for advice on certain things. And it's the same thing, I think, with our students, right? There are some people that are clearly our students, right? Like imagine if you have a child, then, and at least until they reach adulthood or even beyond, maybe, they are always going to be below you, right? They're always going to be someone that you can keep giving to and teaching to. But sometimes there are people that are our peers, right? Like if you have a friend, for example, who's a little bit behind you in life experience, or you have certain experiences that you can give to, so it can also be situational. Okay, so just to sum up where we are right now, right, is that it's important to have these three different types of relationships within our lives. So basically everyone should have, right, teachers, mentors, guides, that they can look up to. Everyone should have peers that they can that they can connect with, and everyone should have students or people that they can give to. And what these three different types of relationships do is they sort of help us stay grounded, and they help propel our growth. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at those different types of relationships individually, right? We're going to look in depth. But before we do that, any questions so far? Any questions from anyone? No, any questions from anyone on Zoom or Instagram? Nope. All right, everyone is being well behaved today. How long will this last? Not very, not very. All right, so let me throw out another question to you. What's the role of a teacher?
Guy.
Guide, to educate. Empower. Oh, that's a good one.
To share knowledge.
Share knowledge.
To help you fulfill your potential.
That's a good one. I'm going to throw that out to the group. What do you think about that definition of helping us fulfill our potential?
The phrase, you can bring a horse to water. comes to mind.
Right.
Well, a good teacher.
It's actually
The right teacher.
interesting. It's interesting because when you first said that, Anna, I also thought like Karen. I was like, you can sort of give someone the tools, but it's actually up to them if they're going to actually use it to fulfill the potential. But I want to share with you, I had an incredible experience yesterday. Yesterday was Tuesday. So I have one of my teachers lives in North America, and when I was first starting out in public speaking and teaching, she gave me a lot of advice on how to structure a class and how to handle, you know, questions in a class. So any complaints you can send to her. And anyway, yes, a teacher should definitely bring out the best in a student. So a few weeks ago, she messaged me and she said, would you give a class on tripods of objectivity? And she runs a program for mentors within a community, training them to develop their mentorship skills. And like she says, she's only taken people that are over 40 into this program. So, and I am not yet 40, full disclosure out there. And when I got the message, I was like, why would you ask me to give a class when you could do so much of a better job of it? And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm like intimidated to teach in front of you. And anyway, we had a Zoom call and I asked her the question. I said, like, why would you ask me to teach when you could do a better job of it than it? And I thought her answer was fascinating. And she said to me, she says, I don't want the course that she's running all to be just about me. I want to sort of empower people to become leaders. And whatever, I was so nervous giving this class because like I felt like, you know, who am I to give a class to people that like have way more life experience. And afterwards, when I like after I did the class, like thank God it went well. But I was like, wow, like the thing that I took away from that was like, that's real leadership, right? Real leadership is not just whatever teaching and thing, but real leadership is really what Anna said, helping someone develop their potential and really giving them those skills to put it out. So I think also we live in you know in the age of information and Google, right? So although I did find one thing that you couldn't just Google, right? And it's very easy to kind of have all the information and just to Google and to sort of live in our own little bubble. What a teacher actually does for us is that a teacher, it's kind of like the story is told about a rabbi that had a student, and he asked the student, who is your teacher? Who is your rabbi? And he says, I don't have a rabbi. I study the Talmud. I know everything. I don't need a rabbi. And he said to him, it's the same thing as though like you're not well and you go into the pharmacy and you take all the medications, right? Who does that? No. Instead, if you're not well, doctor, and you wait to see what the doctor's going to prescribe to you for your illness. You're not just going to start taking everything off the shelf. And that's what really a teacher, a guide is. It's like a doctor for our soul. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Who can be a mentor? In our life, who can be sort of our mentors? Sorry? A parent can be a mentor, definitely.
Your manager at work.
Your manager at work, yes, you're lucky if that can be.
Someone who's more knowledgeable than yourself.
Yes.
Kayla.
Oh, Lindsay.
Someone who's been through certain life experiences where they would have learned things that you haven't learned yet because you haven't had those experiences.
Yes, yes, definitely someone that's been through life experience, and you feel like they have come out well from that, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Or even if they've made mistakes and you can learn from their mistakes, even if they haven't come out well from it. They'll tell you what not to do.
It's interesting because I wouldn't choose such a I might learn from such a person, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily choose them as a mentor.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But
Yeah.
definitely you can learn from everyone, right? And some, as the saying goes, some people you learn what to do, and some people you learn, oh wow, I didn't realize
Not to do.
what time it is. And some people you learn what not to do. Okay, let's so I think all of that is correct, but that it's someone who is knowledgeable, it's someone who has perhaps more life experience. Did anyone bring up the idea of, yes, I think Anna brought up the idea of someone who's been through something and has come out well from it. In Judaism, a big part of someone who's a mentor is someone who is a role model, someone that we look up to and we think that, you know, that's who I want to be when I grow up, kind of thing, right? So so how do we maximize our relationships with our mentors?
Set a time aside. So it's like quality time.
Okay, so develop time, invest time in the relationship, right? Because a lot of times people will say, I'll call my mentor, I'll call my whether it's a rabbi, whether it's a teacher, when I have a problem. But really it's any time, and especially if it's someone that you can learn just by their being, right? So it's what's interesting is that Pirkei Avot tells us that we should warm ourselves by the fire of our mentors, right? Of the wise people, and especially uses the metaphor of a fire. So you think about a fire, if you're too far away from a fire, you're not going to benefit from it at all, right? But if you're too close, what's going to happen? Right? And it's the same. And the metaphor is telling us is that you have to be close enough so that you can learn from them, right? And in Judaism there's a lot of emphasis about being close to people that are role models, right? Like just spending time with them, just so that we sort of learn from their ways, learn how they do simple things, right? Sometimes when you see a person who's really work themselves, develop themselves, and you see that the way the small things that they do, it teaches us so much, right? I think of the head teacher in my kids' school. I don't know if anyone here knows Rabbi Yodekin from Jewish Day, but like he's such a person, like you just like see the way he interacts and see the way he talks about the children and whatever, and it's just like the little things that kind of yes from I don't know. Yes, Yochanan Yodekin. I'm pretty sure he's from Ireland, but I'm assuming that is Dublin. Yeah. But he's. Oh, so yeah, it's probably him. He's written a couple books. He's an incredible educator and person. Anyway, so where were we up to? But we can't be too close to them, right? Because if we get the feeling that this is a friend, we lose a little bit of respect. And then we can't learn from them in the same way, because sometimes, right, what a mentor or a guide is supposed to do for us is tells us things sometimes that we don't want to necessarily hear, right? And we have to be able to respect them enough to sort of yield to what they're saying. And I'll whatever I was going to cover the other two, but we were going to run out of time. So I'm going to end with one little story that I think will illustrate this, and then we can look at the next ones next week. So a lot of you know that we used to live in Vancouver, and we were extremely happy, mostly happy, except for one little thing, was that one of my kids, my oldest, was about to start high school, and he was really like struggling in his last year of primary school, last couple of years. And we weren't sure whether it was his personality, whether it was the fact that it was a very, very small social group, because it was the religious community in Vancouver was very, very small. And he was about to start high school, where he was only going to go into high school with one other kid. And we had been looking for, over the course of the year for another job, and a couple of things had come up, but each one had like serious disadvantages. And it was, I think, already July. And obviously the school year starts in September. We wanted to know where were we going to start the school year. And we asked our mentor, who told us this is too big a question, right? Because on the one hand, we were really making an impact in the community there. And it's not a small thing to just uproot a family and move them. But on the other hand, as he said to us, to have a kid go into teenage years and not be happy, and not set up a child for their teenage years for success. And for us, we knew that we wanted our child to have a positive experience of being an observant Jew, so that they could then make the choice, right? And it's not a choice that they're making to opt in or opt out of Judaism as an emotional reaction to being in a negative situation, but as we wanted to give them that positive experience that would come with a rich social life of other like-minded peers. So he sent us to one of the big rabbis of the generation. And my husband called him up and spoke to him. And he said, he went through all the different options and he didn't love any of them. And he was just very, very quiet. And then for some reason, my husband mentioned him. He says, we could move to Manchester. I mean, we had, my in-laws live here, and we had visited here a few months beforehand. We had interviewed with Seed, but there was no job there. And we had assumed that there would be no, that there was no job and there would be no opportunity to continue outreach in Manchester. And he said you should go to Manchester. It's a great community. There is wonderful educational opportunities for the kids there. You should go there. And my husband turns around to him and says, but we don't have any jobs, right? And we can't impact the community like we've been doing here. And he says, you should go, right? And I remember when my husband told me the conversation, because he called while I was out, and I came back and it was just like this shock, like it's July and he's telling us to just like give up our jobs, give up everything. Like I felt like, I would have to retrain or whatever and just move somewhere. And it was like a shocking thing to hear. And I remember afterwards I spoke to a friend and I said to my friend, I said, like, we're not, in different sects of Judaism, they take a different approach to teachers and guides, right? Like for example, the Hasidic community, when they ask their rabbi a question, that's it, they go with it. With us who are not Hasidic, the way it is that if you ask a rabbi a halachic question, then you have to follow through. But if you ask them for advice, for life advice, then you don't have to. And my friend answered me, and she gave me a brilliant answer. And she says, you're right, you don't have to, but you asked because you didn't know, right? You asked because you wanted to know the answer. And it wasn't the answer that we were hoping for. We were hoping he would say, stay another year, it'll be fine. And in that time, we'll hopefully find something. And it really stuck with me. But I think sometimes, the most growth that we have is when we have that relationship with that teacher, with that mentor. And when we're able to hear something that we don't necessarily want to hear, and then we're able to take that into our life and make it real. And that's really sort of that propels us forward and propels our growth. And what's fascinating here is the story that I just told you is I showed you one type of relationship, the relationship with a mentor, right? The mentor that we had a relationship who sent us on to someone else. And I showed you a relationship with a peer, right? When I turned to my friend and I said, but like, what do I do now, right? And how the two of them together helped us guide. And we haven't gone into peers and what is a good friend. We will do that, please God, next session, because we have run out of time. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can get in touch with me. You can find me on Instagram at Gila Ross. And please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you and have a wonderful day.